So what a crazy real estate market we've seen of late. The two key words for me coming out of the last quarter would be government intervention. If it wasn't for everything the government's been doing, we would have seen house prices dropping. But they've been firing all cannons. We've got historically low interest rates. We've got new construction grants. And without going into the granular detail of how it all works, the government's effectively now printing money, $100 billion basically reserved to fund all of these initiatives that they're undertaking. And what that's meant is that there's continued to be finance available, people have continued the bull run, and we've seen house prices increasing quite consistently. What this means with the ongoing government intervention is that these strong selling conditions are now likely to continue into at least early 2021. So if you are thinking about selling real estate, really no one should tell you when is the right time to sell, but the suggestion is that it looks like a good time to achieve a premium price for your property still in early 2021. We've seen some interesting movements. One of the things we've seen is a little bit of a polar inversion. Traditionally, we see a value spike around CBD areas and values drop and dissipate as you move out of those CBD areas. That's been inverted. We've noticed that there's been far less demand for inner city properties and a huge increase in demand for properties at a medium and long distance outside the city. An area like Sydney really demonstrates this in an exaggerated fashion, where we've noticed that rents have dropped about 30% over the last 6 months for inner city dwellings in Sydney. So we saw this in the Spanish flu in the early 1900s. People basically fled the cities, they headed further out. And we're seeing it again. Will it be a permanent movement? We don't know. We tend to see it firstly in the rental market because tenants are far more mobile than people that actually need to sell and buy elsewhere in order to make that move. So a two-bedroom apartment that might have cost you $1,000 in inner Sydney, you could now comfortably secure for around $700. There's a few factors behind that. You can appreciate going into lockdown in an 80 square metre apartment with no yard is not a lot of fun. A lot of the events and attractions of living in the inner city have basically been kiboshed as a result of COVID-19. We've also noticed that people are learning that many of them can comfortably work from home and no longer are required to live in close proximity to the CBD. So that's been very, very interesting as well. We've actually noticed a lot of people fleeing Sydney and Melbourne and relocating to places like Darwin, Adelaide and Queensland, and so that's been very good for Adelaide as well. So Adelaide's been flagged as one of the top 3 areas for ongoing price growth in the short term. Again, what this means for you is if you're looking to sell your property early in 2021, it still remains a very, very good time. And we'd encourage that you reach out to us and start those conversations now so we can position you to come out of the gates well early in the year. Hope that's been insightful. Feel free to reach out with any questions.